The Labour-led government in the United Kingdom has announced that it is partially suspending arms exports to Israel, citing a clear risk that the use of British weapons in Gaza could have breached international humanitarian law. During a parliamentary session on Monday, Foreign Minister David Lammy said that the country will suspend 30 out of 350 export licenses to Israel over concerns about Israel's conduct in the Gaza Strip. However, Lammy clarified that it is not an arms embargo and the ban does not include suspending exports for parts of F-35 stealth fighter jets.
It is with regret that I inform the House today the assessment I have received leaves me unable to conclude anything other than that for certain UK arms exports to Israel, there does exist a clear risk that they might be used to commit or facilitate a serious violation of international humanitarian law. I have informed my right honourable friend, the Business and Trade Secretary, and he is therefore today announcing the suspension of around 30 from a total of approximately 350 to Israel as required under the Export Controls Act.
Israeli Defense Minister has reacted to the development, saying that he is deeply disheartened by the arms export cuts. In the past few months, the UK government has faced legal action from rights groups for continuing with arms export to Israel. Rights advocates have accused the UK government of ignoring its own licensing regulations, which state that weapons should not be exported when there is a clear risk they could be used in international humanitarian law violations. The Starmer-led Labour government's decision came on the heels of U.S. President Joe Biden saying that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was not doing enough to secure hostage and ceasefire deal with Hamas.
Do you think he's doing enough?
No.
U.S. President Joe Biden said on Monday that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was not doing enough to get a deal for the release of hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. Over the weekend, Israeli forces recovered the bodies of 6 hostages from a tunnel in Gaza. Among them, 23-year-old American-Israeli Hirsch Goldberg Polin. Israel's military said they had been killed recently by Palestinian Hamas militants. The developments have sparked criticism of the Biden administration's Gaza ceasefire strategy. Meanwhile, Israelis are also ramping up pressure on Netanyahu. Protesters took to the streets again on Monday, staying out late into the night in Tel Aviv.
The pressure internationally must be directed at these killers, at Hamas, not at Israel.
Netanyahu appeared to push back when asked about Biden's comments.
We're asked to make concessions? What message does this send Hamas? It says, kill more hostages, murder more hostages, you'll get more concessions.
A senior Hamas official said Biden's criticism was, quote, American recognition that Netanyahu was responsible for undermining efforts to reach a deal. Netanyahu has accused Hamas of obstructing any agreement. Months of stop-start negotiations mediated by the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt have so far failed to reach an accord on a proposal laid out by Biden in May. On Monday, he said the U.S. was close to presenting a final proposal to negotiators.
We're very close to that.
When asked if a deal would be successful, Biden said he was not giving up.
Hope springs eternal.
U.S. President Joe Biden says that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu isn't doing enough for a hostage deal as well as a ceasefire. Biden and other negotiators are hammering out what they call a final proposal. The U.S. is pushing for a deal, somewhat frustrated with the slow progress. 6 hostages were recovered in Gaza, including an Israeli American, after being executed by Hamas, fueling protests in Israel. For Netanyahu to bring hostages home, Biden vowed to hold Hamas leaders accountable. The U.S. is working now with Qatar and Egypt to secure a deal, but critics say Benjamin Netanyahu's demands have also derailed efforts. Netanyahu, for his part, says that he is indeed doing everything he can for a ceasefire deal. The conflict began after Hamas breached the Gaza border, killing 1,200 Israelis and abducting 251 others. Israel, for its part, has killed over 40,000 Palestinians in retaliatory attacks, according to the Palestinians. The U.S. response at this point has implications for the Biden administration, as well as the upcoming presidential election here in the United States. Susan Terhani reporting from New York for WION World is One.